Hi everyone! Fandoms. It's when people are connected with a common interest, be it a show, movie, game, comic, the list goes on. They can express said interest through shipping, fan art, sharing headcanons, redesigns, making their own spins on the story. It's a huge part of today's internet culture. I'm sure we've all had phases where we were in one fandom, moved on to another, then another, and so on. And you might find some of your old fandom phases cringe, for whatever reason. Maybe you've grown from the person you were in that phase, or other members of the fandom were the cringe part, or the media itself aged badly, which is okay, we all grow and change. There are a few fandoms that are considered universally cringe, I would say. Just a few examples are My Hero Academia, Danganronpa, Undertale, My Little Pony, and Dream SMP. So, I had a Dream SMP phase, some of you might even recognize me from it. To quickly recap, Dream SMP was a Minecraft server where a bunch of content creators played together. At first it was a normal survival server, then as more members were added in, it became a roleplay. Each of the members had their own character and story, and they played it all out on streams or in YouTube videos. The roleplay was mostly unscripted at first, but over time it became more and more planned and thought out. The story was a lot. It was full of betrayals, politics, trauma, gay. Trying to recap all of it would take me forever. It sounds silly talking about it now, but you just had to be there. I was a fan between 2021 and 2022. Not right from the beginning, I discovered it pretty far into the story, and then I lost interest shortly before it all officially ended. Didn't help that there was a lot of drama and controversy around the members at one point, which made enjoying the content a lot harder. I was a pretty passive viewer now that I think about it. I didn't watch streams, I didn't watch most of the members outside of Dream SMP, and I got most of the information from quick recaps or clips. I can compare it to watching a show, enjoying the story and characters, but not really caring about the actors and people behind the show. I was mostly on the fan content side of the fandom, the normal kind. This, in my opinion, is where the fandom truly flourished. The amount and variety of fan content that came from this was crazy. Animation, music, art, fanfiction. I myself also made quite a bit of fan art. My favorite part was designing the characters. Originally, they are just Minecraft skins, and they were great canvases for artists. There are so many different designs that came from those little pixels, it's still so fascinating to me. There were some common tropes, like Tubbo with burn scars, Ranboo with tear scars, Quackity with an eye scar. There were a lot of scars now that I look at it, but I really love the fairy tale fantasy vibe it had. I have a few of my own designs. They went through a lot of changes, and I really enjoyed drawing them, but after I left the fandom, I also abandoned those designs, and it feels like a waste, so I decided to turn them into OCs. They are my designs anyway, might as well. They will have different names, personalities, and stories as well. But before we get into it, I want to clarify that I am only talking about the Dream SMP characters, not the creators behind them. Like I mentioned, there has been a lot of drama and controversy around a lot of the members, both while the Dream SMP was going on and after it ended. I will not get into it in this video since that's not the point, just keep that in mind. I'm only talking about the characters, not the creators that portrayed them. Okay, let's get into it now. I've dragged this intro long enough.
Yes, Basoyas, man.
I started with Ranboo. They were one of my favorite characters and my favorite design I made. I also drew them quite a lot. If you look at my old drawings of him, you can see how I start off making it as accurate to the original as possible. Then over time I change it more and more until the only resemblance it has with the original are the eye colors and black and white skin. It also became less and less human over time. I love this design so much that I even drew it multiple times, long after I left the fandom. I love the symmetry, the fluffy hair, the spots on the skin, and the gentle giant vibe. Here is one of my favorite TikToks I made featuring him.
We were playing in the sand, and you found a little band. You told me you fell in love with it, hadn't gone as I planned. When you had to bid adieu, said you never love anew. I wondered if I could hold it and fall in love with it too. You told me to buy a pony, but all I wanted was you.
From what I remember, Ranboo's story mostly had to do with his memory issues, family, and being a pawn to multiple villains. Overall, they were a very tormented and tragic character. The new character's name is Riffin. They are a very cowardly, shy, but curious creature. They don't talk and communicate through visual clues. They don't have many friends besides Theodore. Riffin seems really scary due to their height and overall lanky and sharp proportions, but they are actually really gentle and friendly. Something about tall, gentle characters just speaks to me. Riffin always rescues and nurtures small animals and adopts children, but more on that later. I didn't change the design much, only the eye color really. I would often draw Ranboo in cardigans combined with long skirts. Did he ever canonically wear that or anything close to that? No. Do I care? Also no. Then at some point I gave him vaguely animal-looking legs and a tail. I mean, just look at him. I'm often critical of my designs and art in general, but I genuinely love my Ranboo design so much I cannot help it. But back to the story. I want this universe to take place in a vague fantasy land where all sorts of creatures coexist. I'm leaving out all the politics and wars the Dream SMP lore had. I cannot be bothered with all that. There are multiple regions: the forest, the sea, firelands, winterlands, and something beyond that no one knows about. Almost no one. Riffin lives in the forest, but they are originally from the winterlands. Unfortunately, they are considered a freak by their own species, so their parents rejected them as a child. This is also why Riffin does their best to help and care for others. I really enjoyed drawing them. Since they aren't human, I could exaggerate the proportions and play around with some textures and silhouettes. I also decided to go back to my usual no line art type of coloring. I've been doing so much line art lately, and it looks really good, but no line art has my heart. It gives the drawings a softer look, kind of a fairy tale book vibe, which fits here perfectly. But anyway, meet Riffin. I love them so much, and drawing them was a lot of fun. There is some more to their story, but that's for later.
Me right round, baby, right round, like a wreck of baby, right round.
Then I moved on to Tubbo. I drew him a lot as well, and his design changed quite a bit over time. It was never 100% accurate to the original. The original is literally Tweak from South Park. At first it was just IRL Tubbo in a green shirt. Then I slowly started giving him animal features, then burn scars, a warm vest to match this skin, and from there he just kept getting more musty and unhinged. I don't even fully remember why everyone just made him a ram, to be honest, but it was a very common trope in fanart, so I just did it as well. And the burn scars are from that one time he got blown up. His lore was a lot, from a sidekick, to a politician, to a father, to owning nukes. He's cool though, I featured him in my TikToks a lot. Here's one as an example.
I said if I didn't become a star by 35, I was just gonna become a serial killer. Well, girl, how old are you? I'm getting nervous.
The new character's name is Thaddeus. He is a mechanic and constantly builds things out of scraps and sticks that he often steals from his neighbors. But obviously it isn't very safe, and there have been times where his inventions catch on fire and blow up, leaving him with a lot of scars on his body. But he doesn't care that much and just keeps making more crazy machines. Other creatures describe Thaddeus as very loud, optimistic, and kinda clingy. He lives in a small shaky cabin that he built himself, and he will never miss a chance to tell everyone about that. However, all that optimistic and energetic facade is just that, a facade. He often feels lonely. He talks to himself a lot, which freaks a lot of other creatures out. He tends to insert himself in conversation or comes off as too pushy when making friends. He's trying, but in most cases he ends up alone all over again. I again didn't change his design that much from Tubbo, just changed the accent color from green to a mustard yellow. Oh, and I gave him a different nose. Somehow I never included that for Tubbo. I love that his hair is covering most of his face, with the scars peeking out. Then I also gave him some fangs and a golden tooth. He would definitely lose at least some of his teeth while testing out his inventions. And yes, he made the tooth himself too. It was really fun to draw animal legs on him. Does this count as furry art? Thaddeus was born in a forest, but lost his family when he was very young, so from a very young age he had to fend for himself, find ways to entertain and keep himself somewhat sane. One day, while looking for scraps, he saw a little boy digging in the mud. Surprisingly, the boy didn't have horns or tail, no fangs and claws. Thaddeus' curiosity was piqued. He tried to talk to the boy, but he jumped away, almost hissing, and quickly ran away, dragging his heavy bag away with him. The contents of the bag were spilling out. Among them were stones, plants, bugs, even bones. Thaddeus followed the little trail of junk until he saw a really tall, scary-looking creature with big horns and claws towering over the boy. Thaddeus was ready to jump in and save the child, until the creature gently picked him up and started comforting him. Their moves were so careful, their eyes were so compassionate, like a mother looking at her baby. Then they both walked away, disappearing into the deep forest. Thaddeus stood in place for a solid minute, trying to comprehend what he just saw. Who is that boy? Or rather, what is that boy? Why was he so comfortable with the creature, and where did it take him? He then decided to return to his cabin, picking up the junk that boy left behind. That's it for now. I'll get back to those three in a little bit. I really like how he turned out, and the drawing process was a lot of fun. The design didn't change much from Tubbo, but if it's not broken, don't fix it. Hope you like him too.
Morning, sleepyhead! Is this 'cause Coyote died or whatever?
Sappy nappy, sappy nappa, nappy nap, sappy nap.
Next is Sapnap. I don't remember much from his lore, to be completely honest. I remember he was in a throuple with Karl and Quackity, then later made a kingdom with Karl and George. That's all the lore I cared about and remembered. Their kingdom was mushroom themed and I really liked the look of it. I didn't draw him that much, and every time he looked completely different. At first, I was, of course, trying to make it accurate to the original. Then I kept changing his outfit and adding more non-human features until he looked like this demon thing, I guess. I like it though. At some point I came up with this and pretty much stuck to it, just changing my art style. I think it fits his character's vibe and it looks cool. I like the one broken horn, the burnt tank top. Like, it's cool, so I'm not gonna change it much. The new character is Storn. He was born and raised in the Firelands. Everyone in the Firelands believes that they are the powerful, strong nation, while everyone else is below them. Storn used to believe that too, wholeheartedly. However, he isn't very respected where he's from. He's not as physically tall and strong as other Fireborns, and his fire powers aren't as strong either. He was often bullied and beat up growing up. It's still visible on his body through many scars. It made him really angry and aggressive towards everyone. After a particularly bad fight where he got one of his horns broken, he left the Firelands. He gets treated badly for reasons he can't control, and when he tries to defend himself, it only makes it all worse. He doesn't know where he's going or why, he just wants to get away and to let all his anger out. That lands him in the forest. At first he would burn everything around him in fits of rage. All the other creatures were terrified of him and avoided him. All except for one. One day Storn was alone on the beach. Then he saw something bubbling in the deep water, almost as if someone or something is in there trying to swim up. Storn flies over there, cautious. He tries to look into the deep blue waters to make out what it is, and then gets splashed. His species doesn't do well with water, so he quickly returns to the shore while his wings are still open. He swears like never before and starts using his fire powers to dry himself, though it's a pretty slow process. Meanwhile, a big sea creature emerges from the water, looking very apologetic. They immediately apologize to Storn, saying that they were just playing around and didn't mean to hurt him. Storn is taken aback. He's not used to getting apologies, but he doesn't show it, shoves the creature's helping hand away, and quickly leaves. Storn is having mixed feelings about this. Usually he would absolutely end whoever pisses him off. He was just caught off guard this time, right? But he keeps coming back to that same beach. He thinks it's to get revenge on the creature, but there might be something else to it. After some time, the creature returns. This time, Storn is ready, and instead of flying above the water, he stays on shore, waiting. Shortly after, the creature is right in front of him, looking very excited, with something in their hands. They stretch them out. Storn flinches, then sees that it's gifts. There were some rare-looking shells, chains, and other trinkets. Storn carefully takes them. The creature quickly apologizes again and goes back in the water, leaving confused Storn behind. Okay, that's enough for the details. In short, they slowly build up a friendship. The creature treats Storn with respect and love, and his anger slowly goes away. He grows to be happy, opens up more and more, but the hurt of the past will always stay with him. That's about it for Storn. Hope the story is okay. It was particularly hard to give him a story for some reason. Like I said before, the design didn't change much from Sapnap, but it looks really good in my current style, I think.
Don't be jealous, Vi. Be better. Please. I think I can handle myself.
Try me to. Let me see.
Of course, I had to do Tommy. He was pretty much the main character in Dream SMP. Started off as an annoying child, went through wars, betrayals, getting exiled, more wars, trauma. I really enjoyed his character and drew him a lot. I have deleted a lot of videos from that time, but trust me, it was a lot. At first, my design for him was pretty much just Tommy in real life. Then I kept adding more and more stuff to him after each traumatic event he went through. Scars, patches, a cardigan, longer hair. I don't even remember what some of the things symbolize anymore, but to be honest, I feel like at some point the design got a little bit cluttered. It made sense if you know the lore, but on its own it's a little too much, I think. Though it is fun to see how over time headcanons just take over the character. The new character is Theodore. This time I'm changing the design more drastically. I decided to make him an actual annoying child, around 6-8 years old. He is a literal ankle biter. I gave him a raccoon hat from a few of my old drawings. I really like that idea. He collects random trinkets, be it sticks, stones, leaves, bugs, even bones. He doesn't use them for anything, he just likes to have stuff. He also frequently digs in mud, dirt or sand and doesn't wash his hands afterwards. Theodore is a human child. No one knows how he got in the forest, but a couple years ago he was adopted by Riffin. It was like adopting a scared stray dog. Theodore was so terrified at first, he even bit Riffin a few times, but slowly they earned his trust and now they are inseparable. Riffin isn't the best parent though. They can't talk, so explaining things to Theodore is difficult. And Theodore is very wild and energetic. He runs away a lot and causes a lot of trouble. But when he's scared, he immediately runs to Riffin for safety. They're not the best at parenting, but they care for the little boy more than anything else in the world. Later, they both befriend Thaddeus. It was a long and difficult process, but once it happened, they became inseparable too. Thaddeus matches Theodore's energy perfectly. They are both a little unhinged and like to make stuff. And it really stresses Riffin out all the time. That's about it for his story. He's just getting into trouble all the time. Riffin saves him, and Thaddeus is his fun uncle, getting in trouble alone with him. The design is okay. I took parts from different Tommy designs of mine. It might change later, but for now, this is it. He definitely looks smelly.
This is it. This is my future.
Can't believe I was dumb enough to actually believe you were my friend.
Why are you doing this to me? I never did anything to you.
I'm saying.
Hey!
Yeah, smack that badonkadonk.
Next character I chose is Foolish. He was kind of a side character from what I remember. He had some lore, but it was mostly building stuff for other characters, like Tubbo and Ranboo's mansion, the Kinoko Kingdom, the Dream XD statue, I think, maybe something else, but I don't fully remember. And he was a god or something. But I still really liked him. It was mostly because of Foolish himself. He had some funny moments I really liked.
Am I... If I was born in 98, what actually am I? Am I Gemini? Or Millennial? Like I said, I don't, like, anatomically, is there a word for that? Anatomically? Either way.
His design is interesting. It's the Totem of Undying, but also a shark. I drew him a good few times, making changes to the design every time. This was the final design. It's okay. There are parts I like, but I'm changing it quite a bit. The new character is Osin. Now he is a sea creature. He is from the sea, but goes to the forest pretty often. He is very curious about everything and collects stuff from the bottom of the sea. Pearls, shells, chains, bones, anything he can find. He will either wear it himself or gift it to someone else as a love language. Usually his species mind their business, keep to themselves and stay underwater, but Osin is way too friendly, sometimes to his own detriment. As you might have already figured out, Osin is the creature that befriended Storn. For him, it was another day of going to the surface, but he saw a shadow above the water. His impulsive thoughts took over and he splashed the shadow, just for fun. Then, of course, what I talked about before happened. Next time, Osin decided to bring Storn some gifts as an apology. After that, he would often see Storn on the beach. Every time, Osin would greet him and try to make conversation. At first, it was rough. Storn wasn't very communicative, resorting to one-word answers, if any. But slowly he starts opening up until they build up a sort of friendship. They tell each other about their nations, exchange little gifts, and help each other out. However, they can't touch each other. Storn would just leave burns on Osin's body. Gloves kind of help, but not for very long, so they show their appreciation of each other through gifts and acts of service. That's about it for the story for now. I just really wanted a friendship between opposites. Design-wise, I really like how he turned out. The basics of Foolish are there, but I changed quite a few things. I was going to give him a top, like on Foolish, but his torso turned out so nice and I didn't want to cover it up. And honestly, I'm glad I did that because it fits the sea creature vibe a lot better. I love his face so much. The shark teeth and the ears, the eyes. Yeah, I think he turned out really good.
What is it you want, Sparks? What? Cinder? What do you mean, Sparks? Sparks, what happened? Come on, we have to find her.
Sir, can you spell economy?
Of course, eh?
Okay, the last character I chose is Karl Jacobs. His lore was some of the most interesting in my opinion, and the presentation of it was really good too. He is a time traveler. He travels to different times, and every time he has to play some sort of death game where most of the other players end up dying. The travels also give him memory loss. At some point he completely forgets his loved ones. I really liked his lore, and the streams of it were really cinematic and interesting to watch. Some things weren't explored fully, but even just filling in the blanks yourself was really fun. I also found this old TikTok of mine and thought it was really cool.
My son up from daycare. How in the hell did that happen? Goodness, I am so confused right now. That is wild. That is just... wow, they have hazelnut toffee light roast. I've never seen that before. Anyways, it's really nice to meet you. What'd you say your name was? What are you, deaf? I gotta skedaddle, but I'll pray for your ears. God, I need a refill. I feel like everything is in slow motion right now.
My design for him is pretty close to the original. I mean, it's already a pretty nice design. But, of course, the headcanon slowly took over and I ended up with this. Not a bad design, could be better, but not bad. I'm keeping some parts of it for the new character. The new character is... no one, including him, knows his name. He has been seen in different nations, always confused and scared, unable to answer any questions about himself. On top of that, he is a human. There's a lot of rumors about who he is, what he's doing, but it's all just speculation. I still want him to be a time traveler. One day he found a strange book, and upon opening it, he teleported in time. At first it was a short time frame, he just teleported a couple minutes in the past. He felt weird and disoriented at first, but after reading the book he figured out what it is. He put it away and swore to never open it again. He was lucky that he only teleported by a couple minutes, who knows what could have happened. And he stood by that for a while. It was hidden in his house, away from anyone, collecting dust. But the temptation is definitely there. He's very clumsy, so he often breaks things or falls over and wishes he could go back and prevent that from happening. A normal thought, but he can actually do that. He pushes those thoughts away the best he can, but gives in after a while. There's no harm in going back a few minutes, right? Broke a cup? Go back and prevent it. Just one time is okay, he'll just hide it again and forget about it. Maybe twice is okay, it's just a few minutes, what's the harm in that? What he didn't notice is that the time he was jumping slowly got longer and longer each time he did it. 2 minutes turned into 4, then 6, then 10. Okay, that's enough. He's about to just throw the book away, but what if he really needs it? What if something really bad happens that he can prevent? And so the cycle repeats. He keeps using the book until he starts jumping hours in the past, then days. It exhausts him, his sleeping schedule is a complete mess by this point. He has trouble remembering things. Why did he jump back? What was he supposed to fix? Where is he? Who is he? He can't control the urges anymore and just keeps jumping and jumping at any minor inconvenience. It keeps messing with his head more and more. Is he in the past or future? He can't even tell anymore. He's forgotten his own name, who he was, his friends and family. One day he jumped again, but ended up in the weirdest place so far. There was nothing but everything at the same time. He nervously looked through the pages and finds it. He's in the beyond. But he wasn't there for long. Shortly after he arrived, he jumped out. Whatever he saw in there changed him forever. A little break from the plot. I think the design turned out okay. I'm probably gonna change the bottom of his outfit later. I was a little confused on that part, to be honest, but I really like everything else.
Time. The answer was probably time, right? Excuse me, Fern needs this bike. It's got that big boy musk. Socks, trash, butt, all the stinks of home.
Now, we aren't quite done with... If you're in the fandom, you probably know that this wasn't Karl's only skin. There was also this one, and it didn't have much of an impact on the lore, just visually, but in the fandom it did. A lot of people had cannoned Karl to be a shapeshifter, and this was his other form. I was one of those people. I drew that skin as this little silly creature. This drawing in particular was one of my first popular Instagram posts, actually. I even crocheted the dude. Don't know if I have any pictures though. But I wanted to include him in this video as well, in a less silly way though. So, after seeing the Beyond, was never himself again. On top of memory loss and overall exhaustion, he began having really bad pain in his entire body. He felt like his bones were stretching, then he started losing hair, his eyesight got worse. He hoped it was just his lack of sleep catching up to him, but it kept getting worse. A lot of days he could barely move due to the pain, that later moved from just his limbs to his spine, neck and face. His eyesight wasn't getting any better either. It was never perfect, but now it was worse than ever. Everything was blurry, slowly the colors faded away, then lights. He was pretty much completely blind. For a while he managed to stay sane, but that didn't last either. His anxiety skyrocketed. He was in constant stress, both from the physical pain and his brain morphing along with his body. He was in this state for months, constantly squirming in pain, being pretty much blind, losing his grip on reality more and more every day. Not to mention the physical changes. His body was slowly stretching out, his hair falling out more and more rapidly, his skin changing color to the point it looked unnatural, then just rotting away. Now he's just a shell of his former self. He lost any humanity, any memory of who he was, now just roaming aimlessly in the lands. Yeah, so I went in a more creepy direction with this. I'm a huge analog horror fan, especially when there's distorted faces and a sense of hopelessness. I know that creepy analog horror faces are kind of a meme at this point, but it genuinely gives me the creeps when there's an uncanny face. I both love and hate them. So I went for that with this character. I don't know how well I captured the uncanny valley look, but it's spooky enough for me. And I'm actually really happy with the storyline, to be completely honest. Yeah, I think I did well here. Hope you like him and all the other characters too. So here they are. I had a lot of fun with these characters and their stories, on top of it feeling really nostalgic to draw them again. To a lot of people, their Dream SMP face is really embarrassing. They see themselves leaving as getting better or character development, which is totally fine, but me personally, I don't see my Dream SMP face as that. To me, it's just a face I had, a pretty productive one at that. Drawing these characters really helped me get out of my comfort zone and get better at character design. When I was looking through my old TikToks for this, I found myself feeling really impressed. Seriously, some of the stuff I made was really creative, whether it was redrawing a scene or using an unrelated sound and spinning it to fit the characters. I don't even do that now. The art also looked really nice. Usually I'm critical towards my older art, but with some of these I was like, dang, that looks cool. I also got a big chunk of my following in that time. When I teased the new designs, I got a lot of comments and messages from people saying that they have been following me since that era. So yeah, even though I'm not into Dream SMP anymore and don't even keep up with any of the creators much, that time still has a special place in my heart. I was having a lot of fun, and if you are one of those people that followed me back then, thank you for sticking around. Crazy to think that I've been doing this for years at this point. Okay, that's a really deep ending to a Dream SMP video of all things. If you have any suggestions or ideas to the story, feel free to leave them in the comments. You guys come up with really cool stuff sometimes. Thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, comment, all that. Check out my other socials, they will be on the screen and in the description. Stay safe, and I'll see you in another video. Bye!